So the days of the saying that if you want to hide something from an African, you put it in a book are long gone if they actually ever existed. Today, many Ugandans and indeed Africans across the continent are turning the page thanks to the brilliance of a young Ugandan. His name, Alex Twino, his location, he is right here with us here in the Urban TV studios. And tonight on Hashtag, we're going to be having conversations about reading, conversations about entrepreneurship, and conversations about Mr. Alex Twino. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure hosting you on the show. We heard about you just a few days ago from one of our guests here who was very excited about something called Turn the Page, and they were full of praise and talking about this revolution that is going on, and we're like, oh, we definitely need to meet Alex. Otherwise, well done. And
thank you very much.
We're looking forward to talking about what you're doing. Huh?
Thanks for having me.
So very quickly, I'm going to go and here on the show, we introduce our guests using their social media presence. We'll go to your Twitter bio and get to know who you are. But before that, let me just read out a few tweets, shout outs to people who are watching the show right now. And talking about Pakasa 7, remember Pakasa is happening this Saturday at the Kampala Parents Auditorium, and it's all about entrepreneurship. So just read out one tweet, and then Douglas will take me to his bio. So XFM is saying planning to quit. Innocent Onika Tubo says, Uganda, the social entrepreneur focuses on scaling social impact rather than financial reward. So sure, that's social entrepreneurship, and I'm sure Alex knows so many, a thing or two about that. But let's go to his Twitter bio and find out who Alex is online, like we always do it here on the show. In the meantime, you could just, how do you usually respond when you say tell us about yourself?
That's quite, there's a lot you could say about yourself. So I think it's best answered by what people say about you. Yes. And as you will see, I could describe myself in only one adjective.
Okay.
Amenable.
Amenable.
Yes,
wow.
I can fit into any society or with any people that I meet.
Okay.
Yes.
And you definitely have been in quite a number of societies. So let's talk about as the internet gets its act together. Let's talk about Turn the Page.
Yes,
what is this whole campaign about? How does it work? How long have you been operating it?
All right. Turn the Page is not something that came up just last night. It's born out of frustrations that I've faced as an individual, or that my friends have faced while trying to access specifically African literature, what you call the African novel in Uganda. Yeah. Problems to do with availability, affordability, and distribution of that material, both in Kampala and the rest of the country, and the region as well. So I sat down and thought of ideas of how I could make better or try to do away with the challenges that we face as a people. So I sat down, well, first alone, and thought of what I could do, came up with Turn the Page, shared with a couple of friends who appreciated it, and then in the first quarter of the year, had it registered as a company here based in Kampala, and also constructed infrastructure which would solve several issues or provide different solutions, but first that in respect to availability, which is now the online bookstore.
All right, so the online bookstore solves the question of if I'm looking for African literature, I have to just come to your online bookstore, yes, and I'll be able to, just as a high, I'll find it there.
You will definitely find it.
All right, okay. Yes. Let's talk a bit about reception and once and for all clear this whole thing about a reading culture, and especially for Uganda. You're saying there was this frustration. Was it by Ugandans? Because somebody was saying Ugandans don't read, so there's no way Ugandans will be looking for African literature.
No, I don't believe in that school of thought. Ugandans do read, because think about it, how many schools are in the country? About 1,500. Each of those schools is teaching people to read a thing or two. They either have a literature class or they have a club that is derived from that class. They are reading, but when they get to the point between high school and university, there's a reluctance and then a disinterest, either because they've lacked a sense of direction from their teachers or their parents, and they're finished at a stage where they only read to pass exams. So people do read, and if they're interested, they'll be helped to read much more material. Okay. We do read.
So people are actually reading.
They do.
I think that's very encouraging, because I know very many friends. I know this Rosie Athman, our very own Rosie Athman, who's doing PM Live, is doing something called Uganda Reading, and I'm sure you should definitely get in touch, because there's quite a number of campaigns about reading, spelling bee and all that. So contrary to unpopular opinion, Ugandans actually read.
Yes.
Now, I'd like us to really get into the details of the online store and how it works, but that is going to depend a lot on the technology, so I think we're going to get into that after the break. But for now, let's talk about you as an entrepreneur, and this is good, alextrainer.com. There's so many things that you do as an entrepreneur. If we could just quickly go through them. So just have to turn the page, there's something Uganda. That's also an initiative you started.
Well, Alex Twino is an umbrella website which conflates the first phase of companies that have rolled out for 2016.
Yeah.
There'll be others in the future. So I decided to roll them out together because it wouldn't make sense to me to roll out one, then a couple of months another, a couple of months another. But I prepared myself so well and put them in a conflation, which is alextuno.com. Well, someone may say, Alextuno is not the kind of site I would want to go to. It's sort of personal and everything.
Yeah.
Yes, I appreciate that. But if you appreciate the aspects that pertain to website design and everything, I would have to buy a domain for it. Would be a little costly for the start. So I worked within my means, created alextuno. So when you go to alextuno.com, it's the one site that you can breathe on to access a range of issues. If you want to work in the region, you wanted consultancy for a private client or an institution, an organization, or anyone, you could choose Umoja Bridge. If you're interested in something to read, you'd go to turn the page. If you wanted a product which is representative of the rich, beautiful culture or the brand that is Uganda, something Ugandan is for you. If you wanted to travel in East Africa, Sweet Safari works for you. If you wanted to participate in a marathon, in a trail, in a hike, anywhere in Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, hikes and runs works for you. If you're looking for a place where you could get recommendations on places where you could stay both short and long term anywhere in East Africa, Pumzika will work for you. If you wanted to donate, contribute to a cause, a generous cause that is changing the lives of people in Africa, starting in this African region, volunteerism will work for you. So
we're still getting to know who you are and still trying to exhaust this conversation before we get into a short break. So we now know that you are an entrepreneur, you are amenable, you are an advocate, you're well-traveled. What have we missed? Something that...
I'm a writer.
You're a writer?
Yes.
So you have your own books?
I'll be rolling out 2 books this year.
Ah.
Yes.
Very exciting, very exciting. You were telling me about an online book club.
Yes, sir.
How does that work? For me, if I'm watching the show, I'm looking for a book club. I know many people who are frustrated with their book clubs. They're like, I want a much more serious book club.
Well, like I said, people do read, but those who don't read have not been interested. And there are various ways you can interest a market that wants to read or that you want to read. So one of those ways is through a book club. Well, the essence of a book club is to put people together in a space that they can feel comfortable in and have a decent conversation about either a common book that you have chosen for them or they have elected amongst themselves to read for that particular period, be it a month or 2 weeks. And when they meet at a specific time and date, they can have a detailed conversation pertaining to that book and how it's significant to their lives or their communities, or compare notes with where that book is coming from.
Right.
So that's the book club. So as far as Kampala is concerned, we have gotten a venue, we have gotten a time and a date with coffee and water for those who prefer those. All we are doing right now is I'm working with a few people to prepare a schedule that will detail how, when we'll be meeting. Yeah.
All right.
So we'll share those details on the page. There's a special category on the website for the book club and on our Twitter and Facebook pages.
All right, that sounds very exciting. Now we're going to take a very, very short break. After the break, we'll be getting into the finer details of how the bookstore works. If I want to get a book, which books are available there, how do I get them, how do I pay for them, how does the book reach me? But we will be getting into all those details and also talking a little bit more about entrepreneurship and hashtag Pakasa7.